Well, thank you very much for letting me come over here and enjoy this amazing heat wave with you. Thanks for that. As you can probably tell by my accent, I am English. I'm not Australian, as a few of you asked. And today, in my country, is probably one of the biggest things that I will ever see in my lifetime as we face change and the implications of those change. And some people are saying, well, no, we just naturally want to move on and see where things go. And other people are saying, no, it's time to have a revolution. So in a manner of speaking, to sort of take things back. And as a digital person that spent 20 years, the last 20 years looking at online, I feel that online has almost reached a bit of a plateau. And when I look at television, I see some of the most amazing innovation, the excitement, the opportunities, taking the best of our digital thinking with the best of television and overlapping them together. And I see some fantastic and amazing opportunities ahead. Although there's going to be a few hurdles we're going to have to get through in the short term. So the first thing I want to say is it's all positive. We can all relax, shake it all off. There's nothing to worry about. But there are some amazing changes that we're going to start looking through as we look at the television. I mean, we've come from this little square black and white box that took ages to work through, to these flat screen smart televisions, to mobile. You know, the screen's not just got bigger, it's also got smaller and closer. And so there's lots of things that are sort of changing when we kind of get our head around what is this word television. You know, it's just this whole idea. When I look at the back of my TV right now, it feels like a bit like a snake's wedding. Anyone feel like that? There's just cables everywhere, devices that are connected to it. And then it's like not just that, but then it's like the increasing costs. The more devices, the more channels, the more subscriptions, the more everything else. And it's almost getting too uncomfortable for people, which is why people are sort of saying, I've had enough. We saw Napster change the music industry, and we are ripe for something to change the television industry. We need something new because it's almost got enough is enough. You know, I pop around to my friend's house, and I'm sitting there going, hey guys, what are you doing? And they're sort of saying, well, I'm watching TV. And yet the funny thing is, I'm thinking, well, the TV's switched off. But actually, in their mind, and I think if we were all honest, actually, when we're just watching video content, no matter where it is on whatever device, I'm in my head watching TV. And I think that's the first thing we have to realize. The consumer has moved on, but we're still very often stuck in our own ways of thinking as an industry. We've gone from this whole idea of just on air to online. But those things is part of it. What we do is we get this beautiful combination of this explosion of television and online, where we suddenly see all these different new data points sort of coming out. So we're starting to see whether they saw something, did they buy, and all those points in between of where we get there. And so the whole idea of does my TV advertising work, does my content work, do I invest in it? We have far more data than we've ever had to answer those questions. Technology has to change to cope with it. There'll be 5 billion internet users by 2020. It's the same as the global population a few years ago, compared to 1.7 billion TV households. And yet all those 5 billion devices will be able to watch video and television content. So TV is about to explode, but not in the way that we thought it was. 82% of all internet traffic is going to become video. 70% of all mobile traffic will be video by 2020. But here's the most fun thing I've noticed. 5 million years worth of video will be there every single month transmitted online. And as a result of it, we have to look at new technologies. In order to get around this amazing speed, we need things like Li-Fi, the next stage of Wi-Fi. Rather than working with sound waves, we use the speed of light to try and transmit data. The changes are happening because we want to have something that's 100 times faster than your Wi-Fi today. It also enables your mobile phone to become solar powered. There's all sorts of things that we're going to see. 5G is coming, 1 terabit a second. That's 65 times faster than your 4G. Now, why is all this stuff happening by 2020? It's in preparation for the fact of video. I mean, at 1 terabit, you can literally go 1, 2, 3, and you've just got 100 films in HD downloaded to your mobile device, which is just the most fastest idea of concept ever, via mobile. So the technology and infrastructure is all being prepared right now for video. Screens are getting bigger. We've seen this already, 4K happening, ultra high definition, huge screens, getting bigger screens. And it's been driven a lot of the time by sport. This content, this beautiful idea of needing to see, the details of the players on the field. We're seeing this situation where this year, by August, September, they're predicting that Rio will be the most high-definition event ever broadcast, as 4K finally makes its true debut. Should have happened at the Olympics, didn't quite get together. They reckon that now we've got it together. But while that's happening and we're all getting ready for that, already in Japan, they're getting ready for 8K. Now, 8K is, for example, they're saying their trials are starting this year. They reckon that by 2018, they're going to start broadcasting, and that basically we're going to start seeing this credible idea, 16 times the resolution of high-definition television. That's pretty crazy. Now, when you blink, your eye's basically working about 4K. All right? So imagine your eyes take a photograph in 4K. As I look around the room, my eyes are actually now working in 32K. That's as much as my brain can process in that speed. That's full vision. However, when I'm looking at a screen the other side of the room, 8K is all I need. By 2020, when we start broadcasting it, looking at a television set will be like looking through a window. You're going to see, or just looking out over here, all the same definition, all the same information will be there. 10, 15 years ago, you probably had a 2-megapixel camera. Now you've probably got 8 times that on your mobile phone. It doesn't take long for technology to change. And so we're about to come to this whole idea of true 2020 vision as we hit 2020 with this whole idea of television. Tokyo is predicted to be the most high-definition event. 4K will be commonplace in most homes. And as a result of that, we're going to start not seeing surround sound, but surround light. Already we can get these little devices that you sort of put on screen. You can sort of basically put behind the television for a few dollars, and it means that the experience will start surrounding the screen. So as the Coca-Cola advert goes on, your room will turn red, just the way the LED lights are around this room. And so basically it turns out the peripheral vision so that we can start having a much more immersive television experience. Like I said, for a couple of dollars already you can buy these things and turn any TV into this process. TV is going to become like wallpaper. 205 inches is the current TV size we can pick up. Probably costs you $250,000, but it's there. Speakers. Your screen will become the speaker. TV is beginning to completely disappear. I mean, the first thing you do when you buy a TV is you chase all the cables into the walls because I don't want to see the technology. And it's the same with the actual idea. It's going to become glass, transparent glass. Already we can control glass electronically. We're seeing it in homes where you can just turn things on and off and get rid of curtains. The same will happen as we can get it to go black and white. How long before we get it to go color? Well, it's already here. We're already seeing the technology out there. And so the notion of a television on your wall, you see, we've gone from it being in the corner of the room to suddenly mounted across the fireplace to perhaps it's going to become your window, just like Michael J. Fox saw in that Back to the Future. Haptic 3D. You know what it's like when you have kids. You give them an iPad, they automatically know, they teach you how to use it. And what do they do when they see a television set? They're like this. Because they expect technology to work the way they work. They don't expect to have to learn how to use something. And so TV needs to become haptic. It needs to become touch. But not just touch. It needs to work with a whole range of senses. I need to be able to sit there and wink at it, or wiggle, or wave. You see, this is to me my vision for WWW. It's not whatever, wherever, whenever. It's about technology finally catching up with me as a human being. And so I think Wink, Wiggle, Wave will be the new definition of WWW as we move forward, and it will be driven through television. Part of that is going to be the way we see advertising. Lovely dress, stop, pause. Does my bum look bigger than this? You know, I mean, be able to try stuff on in the TV, in the home. And so we're starting to see this new ways of working. This idea of visual navigation, we're seeing it already on computers. Your TVs already have cameras on there. The idea of being able to use that as a new way of interface is all there to be explored and played around with. And this one I love. It's a Chinese company working with a San Franciscan company, and they've got this idea, this great marketing campaign, do you mind? You put on the headset and you think the TV. Volume up, volume. It's really difficult to do because you want to say it. Hi, Google. You know, no, you have to think it. And so we're seeing this radical shift in the fact that you're able to change content. But when you start putting these things together, we're in this crazy notion, this idea of VR, virtual reality. But now we have glasses where you can combine eye tracking with your brain sensor interface, and you can start to type messages and copy and paste using your eyes. Now, this stuff is crazy. It's the start of telepathy. What is that going to do for our content? When we're already seeing things like Project Morpheus with Sony and the various virtual reality systems already starting to take us into new and exciting opportunities with video. You know, that shark suddenly coming out of the ideas. Well, okay, maybe it was talked about a long time ago. Well, they reckon that by 2020, the need to wear 3D glasses will be gone. We're seeing it already with the whole notion of mobile projection. Using your mobile not just to watch the screen there, but to watch it in full screen. Then being able to swipe and touch in the air. I don't know if you've ever seen this on YouTube, where you can actually get a CD case and you can cut it up, and you can actually look at the videos on there and actually create holographic projection. If you haven't done it, you've got to do it, guys. It's absolutely amazing. And so what you're able to do is this whole idea of where we sort of look at this science fiction or science reality and where the blurring lines are, you know, this whole idea of something that's 3D that I can now walk around and have different experiences. It's there. Because all you do is you take the screen, you throw it over little triangles, and you see a different experience. And so to me, the revolution isn't about being televised. The technology is all making this possible. But really what we're going to do is we're going to see this whole thing about social. See, social is the other factor that's driving this technological change right now. Because it's the cultural impact. We know it's happening very quickly. We know that Facebook is a huge proponent and part of this change. But really the big thing about Facebook isn't the amount of numbers or items shared or the fact we're communicating and talking and meeting friends from the past. What we're actually doing on Facebook, it's about video. And I think Facebook is the biggest threat to the TV industry. For ages we've been talking about YouTube or Netflix. But actually I think it's Facebook. They have a larger reach, global population, and now they've started to put on video. See, the first thing you do when you find something on YouTube, or you've seen that great TV ad, or that great content, is we turn to Facebook and tell our friends. And our friends watch what we tell them to watch. We're the new program directors. We're the new content, distributors. And so really, we as consumers have sort of taken the place of the programming. And so this is what we're watching, because you're more likely to watch it if your friend says to watch it. And so this concept of Facebook being a television station is quite a challenge. You see, they're already moving beyond online, and we've seen the massive impacts that they've done in terms of doing it. We've seen this whole idea of where we've gone over to mobile. Every new device that comes out, it'll go with video. We've seen the power of creating change socially. We sort of looked at this whole idea of social change with the gay rights movement, last year. It was this time last year, just 1 year away, and already this was a profound impact with Facebook and television. But everywhere there's a device, or a screen, it'll have a connection. And everywhere there's a connection, there'll be video. And everywhere there's video, there will be Facebook. And so suddenly we're going to see it in the car, on your fridge, and we're going to see this whole idea of this Facebook television becoming far more prevalent. You see, yeah, we can talk about, oh, the wonderful technologies that it's happening, transparent mobiles, and all these sorts of things are coming around. To me, the biggest thing is about the fact that when I'm looking into my Facebook feed right now, I am being exposed to this video content continually, working it through, flicking through. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And so all the technology is doing is fueling this cultural change, the way we've come to accept video. The fact that we've almost gone back to watching silent movies again with Facebook. And so we're seeing this radical reshift in how social and cultural connections work. And I think by 2020, we're going to see Facebook becoming not only the premier video destination over YouTube, but they'll probably also have some kind of long-form or subscription offering as well to do with video. Because it makes business sense for them to do so, because of the reach that they already have. Now, what does that do for the content service providers? Some interesting challenges that we're going to have to face. Facebook Live. I mean, we've sat there and looked at this whole idea of, I saw this great article in the New York Times that was saying, it's not video, it's interactive journalism. This radical change in terms of being able to sit there and use something and post it live there and then, on the spot. We saw the massive things happening with bin Laden years ago with the Twitter feeds, before even the White House had a chance to put out their press releases. It was already out on the social media. We've seen that time and time again since that moment. But now we've got video. And video is the next thing of Facebook or Flickr or Twitter, who are all now announcing their video strategies. New channels of distribution, new ways of getting content out. But it's not without its challenges. You see, when you give things live, stuff happens, and it doesn't necessarily work in our favor. Or maybe it is a political thing, and the fact that we've just sat there and watched when the TV cameras and the technology breaks down, they're turning to social media, and they're causing people to suddenly say, hey, have you heard about Periscope, download it, or Facebook Live? Things that happen just in a very normal way often have a massive cultural significance and change. And we're witnessing these things on a day-by-day basis. Now, that's all great, but to me, we've already been through this with TV. See, television is the mature big brother, the wise one. We can embrace all these amazing new technologies, but sometimes the reality of what needs to happen is coming in the wisdom of what you guys are sitting in the room. What you've seen, been through, experienced, business-wise, commercially, technologically. There's a whole load of changes, but we need to accept what's happening. So to me, it's about what can TV teach online, with the preface of the saying, okay, it's easy to police a stream if I put 5 seconds in. How are you going to do that with 1 billion people uploading video on Facebook? But it's just a challenge. We'll find a solution. There'll be a way of doing it. Just a matter of time. But there are things that we have to sort of look at the changes. Meanwhile, video is now forever changed. This whole idea of Facebook 360, you've all played with this, where you can sit there and you can turn your mobile around and upside down and actually look around the video, where I'm standing in the middle of the video content piece. So to me, social is about interaction, but it's about shared experiences. Now, the best shared experience I can think of is really games, sports, arts. They're the things that make us as a community. They're the things we enjoy and we share. And so what we're seeing here is, if I look at one of the most innovative and technological countries and progressive countries, Korea, it's quite interesting to see what's going on over there. You see, their passion is the same as yours. It's baseball. And there's huge amounts of people who go and watch it on a week-by-week basis. Except they have electronic games which are pulling in crowds of 100,000 a week. Oh, hold on. People want to sit and watch people on a computer playing a game? Oh, so you want to watch a bunch of millionaires running around a field trying to get a piece of stuffed leather pig's bladder between a couple of nets? It's just as crazy. Culture has changed. I mean, StarCraft, this is all crazy stuff. StarCraft, these guys that are there are earning something like $500,000 a year. Now, that's what we kind of play our football stars. So naturally, it's going to attract people to aspire and say, I don't just want to make the college team, but they want to hit the college team. And it's not just a guy thing, it's a girl thing. So there are girl teams as well across Asia in terms of what's actually happening. Now, game time in Korea is prime time. It's suddenly become major league in terms of what they're doing. It's as big as football is in the West. They broadcast it, they've had their own TV channels, they've exploded and played with this whole idea. The funniest one I see is they've got now a Korean esports association. They have got a dedicated minister of esports in Korea. And I love this, managing the broadcast of esports, the formation of new events, as well as encourage the playing video by the general population. And it's mainstream television. And so this whole opportunity, the way we've seen sports in the West progress, we're now seeing happening across in Asia. Where people are sitting there watching the dedication of these young men and women playing it. But here's the question, where's Wally? Where's Westy? There he is. There he is. See, this isn't an Asian phenomenon at all. You guys are nuts for it. 1.9 billion global gamers, 260 million esports viewers, with more than a 30% growth year on year. You've got dedicated sports spas here in the States, as we're now seeing them happening in London, where people are going to watch gamers. You don't want to go meet your mates to watch the football. They're going there to watch StarCraft or something like that. It's crazy. With huge amount of time spent per week watching these games. You make a comparison. You sort of look at the League of Legends Champion Series. 334 million viewers over a 4-week period. 36 million viewers tuned in 2015 final last year. Now, you sort of compare that to the biggest thing on the planet, which is the Super Bowl. Already, it's a third of the size of the Super Bowl. Now, you think how much money is wrapped up in the Super Bowl. But what if the kids of tomorrow aren't going to be wanting to watch the Super Bowl because they're all going to watch League of Legends final? They'll be coming around, come round, bring your barbecue, your chips, your beers. $36 million. You take all the top shows and you combine all their viewing figures of the final Savarians, they don't even get anywhere near that. Culture has changed. We have a generation of people who are preferring watching esports to watching football or baseball. And so this isn't just an American, this isn't a global phenomenon that's happening right now. Massive cultural changes are happening. The idea of Twitch television, the idea of people sitting there watching live online broadcasts of people sitting there watching and playing games. 3 times more videos viewed than Facebook. More than 20 hours a week, people are sitting there at home watching this stuff. And it's already there on mobile and growing each month. We're seeing these huge figures. You look at the main TV channels for that age group and age bracket, and Twitch is already outperforming them. As an advertiser, where do I put my money to reach these new millennials? Without the advertising, how are we going to get the money to create the content? How much does it cost to create this content? production cost of someone sitting there playing a game and uploading it to Twitch compared to what we have to do to create amazing, exciting content to have stand out. I mean, we sort of look back to the glory days. The biggest TV show of all time, 76 million viewers, Seinfeld. Now, what's he just done? He could go anywhere and do anything, and he's chosen to go to Cackle. And that's where he's launching his new show. Cackle, comedians in cars, getting coffee. It's this whole idea of where great shows and pulling in key stars like Obama. I mean, this is like amazing television content that we're seeing happening. It's all about getting people to tune in by pulling this stuff in. And yet another subscription with Cackle. We've seen the same thing happening with Top Gear, the biggest and most watched television program on the planet, in the Guinness Book of Records for having over 1 billion people tuning in regularly, and now they've gone to Amazon. We've got James Corden. This whole idea of carpool karaoke. We saw this, the most watched late-night YouTube video of all time was Adele. 85 million views. 61% increase in uplift in terms of people who are watching it. And then what we saw, her record went to #3 in the charts. That is what excites people. The opportunity and power of what she can do, what online and what television and video, and when we put it all together, can do. And then we've got this woman. I mean, 141 million views in 3 days. I mean, she becomes a global superstar overnight. I mean, she's on the James Corden show. He's not one to miss a beat, is he? Let's be honest. And then he goes in there and he's turning around with J.J. Abrams, pulling all the stars. They all want to be in on the action, including Mark Zuckerberg. Hey, come on over to the place. We're going to get you over as well. Everybody wants to jump on her back. Crazy. How much we can change culture in 3 days. The power of video. And then we have a Tony Awards. The highest rating show in 15 years. And they've attributed it to this success because of what they've done. Where they've taken this short-form content online and stick it on television. And how these two things don't fight each other, how they work together. And as a result of these things, we've seen massive stuff happening. 10 million views in the last 2 weeks alone. The opportunity. What are the opportunities for promo? The Emmys. Now I've turned around and said they've covered short-form content. 6 minutes or 6 episodes, or 15 minutes or less. So we're starting to see the TV industry and embrace online. We're starting to see the best short-form actor and actress. We're starting to see brand casting coming along, where advertisers are saying we can do our own channels. We're able to do that sort of stuff. 4 of YouTube's top 20 videos in 24 were already at brands, let alone where we get to today. And where are we today? Well, Manchester United, the biggest profitable sporting client on the planet, has 60 people now working in its television department. 60 people. You sort of look at that in terms of what they're doing, and we're seeing that already happening with the fastest growing digital subscription service, which was, the worldwide wrestling. We're seeing sports driving changes in TV. This whole idea of where TV has now been hijacked by the games console. Because we're not watching TV on the cable box, we're watching it via any device. And we're starting to see the same thing happening now with the games console has now been hijacked by the TV. And so this whole idea of where does sports and TV and content versus gaming over here, we're starting to see them collide. And what the announcement was at the last, I don't know whether you saw the last Apple keynote, was something I thought was really interesting when they were talking about the new Fox Sports. Now, it was great. You sit there and you look at your Fox Sports on your Apple TV. You can go on there, and maybe you want to watch the latest Copa final, of USA taking on Argentina. Sorry about that, guys. Or maybe you want to sit there and watch, LeBron finally get it for Cleveland. And okay, we got picture-in-picture, which is great. Maybe you want to sit there, Wales, the underdog, finally take on and get Russia. So we have at least have that in common. And, finally get that out. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm watching picture-in-picture. We've seen that already, but this is through Apple TV, different channels. But then I'm going on again, and now I want to see, do the Mets finally get it together? Except this is something different. Because while I'm watching my TV, I'm not watching. I'm playing. And we're seeing this mix-mash of TV and gaming starting to happen with these new devices. And so I think the opportunities here are exciting. But it's not just those things. It just means that when we start targeting people, we don't just have to look about geography, we can think about values and attitudes, new data that we can start to use to influence the content. When I think about my home experience, watching TV, it's so complicated, guys. I mean, literally, I've got a box here for my cable TV. I have to have another thing over there. I have a smart television, which is anything but smart, because every week at the moment it's coming up and saying, this TV service is taken offline. If I want to watch Game of Thrones, how do I watch it? Therein lies the problem. I have to sit there and use the Mac Mini to work on it, because it's not on my cable subscription plan. So it's forcing me to use an app to have to watch it on terms of this. So I have to put a computer in there. Now, when I'm sitting there watching it on a paid subscription, I am watching, for all intents and purposes, no matter what channel I'm watching, when I'm flicking through different online catch-up services, how the advertising is working. Most of this is coming via my computer, but I am watching television. It's on my main screen, my big screen. I'm sitting there on the sofa. I'm vegging out. I'm doing what I've always done. And who cares whether it comes through digital or terrestrial or cable or blah, blah, blah. It's just TV. I watched this over the last few years. I used to buy lots of Blu-rays and DVDs, and that started to go less, and I've started to buy more services. And it's like, when you sit there and analyze your own behavior, you'll see a trend happening, more HD content. You watch more TV box sets and films. You're watching, live, all these things that are happening that you're doing. And then you suddenly realize you need to have multiple subscription channels. But when I sit there and look at the subscription channels, then I want to watch my BBC, then I want to watch, Ultraviolet or whatever that is. I mean, you sit there and you're going, oh gosh, right, now I need to go and get an Apple TV. Except you give me an Apple TV and I've got Korean TV. I mean, what on earth am I doing? And I sit and want to watch this over here and whatever, and I need this device. And then, that one only works on a mobile because you can't get that, and because Ultraviolet doesn't yet have an app on there. And you start, it's a freaking mess. House of Cards. Great. Here's Netflix, original programming, 4K. Is it TV or live stream? Best actress, wonderful, all amazing things. Netflix. Okay, good old days. I used to walk into a shop. I used to sit there and I wanted a new release. I wanted to watch the latest film. Okay, and then pick up some popcorn on the way out. Netflix. Should we watch this? No. Have you seen this? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Should we let's read the reviews? No. I've spent a whole evening doing that. Yeah? I'll tell you what it's like. When you go to a gas station and you see those 2 for $1 DVDs. Blockbuster it ain't, bargain basement it is. I mean, you know what it's like. I mean, it's like a gym membership, right? It's all good intentions. January, you're there, running it all down. It works into February, March, it cools down. June, you're back in again. The summer holidays are coming or whatever else. When the new show comes out, we're back on. Other than that, goodbye. I mean, it was the same. Who saw True Detective? Right. Who saw True Detective 2? What was the OTT churn rate last year? Anyone have a guess? 60%! 60% of people signing up to watch content and going, I've seen the show now, thanks very much, I'm off. I mean, we've seen this happening. In the UK, I'm watching the cable subscriptions declining and dropping down. It's forcing them to have to look at new shows. Brilliant. As a result, over-the-top devices, getting the subscriptions back up, we're seeing this massive shift in new subscriptions. Until next week, when episode 10 happens, and then who's going to stay? Who will stay with their subscription services? Because what else have I got? And so it's causing, I mean, okay, sorry you said not to talk about Game of Thrones, but Battle of the Bastards. I think what's actually doing is the bastardizing of television. What we're seeing right now is we're looking at new creative opportunities. 52% of over-the-top companies are saying we are preparing, researching, and launching virtual reality content. You know that Facebook Live thing I was talking about, or Facebook 360? I'm there, as Jon Snow, in the middle of the battlefield, with the stuff happening around, and I'm looking around. I'm in the middle of the content, and how do I feel, the emotions? What's that going to do for TV viewing? We're preparing for it. Or maybe you want to travel with Bran, see the three-eyed raven, and go off and have a different experience. This is what it's going to do. People are preparing for new growth. But at the same time, Spielberg is saying the problem with this is I'm losing control of the content, storyline, because your experience is going to be different to yours, and my experience will be different to yours. Game of Thrones has been a game changer because it's become a game of screens. 80% of TV today is already watched on a device other than TV. That's crazy. 80%. They're watching TV, but in a different way. How many people are still here with one of those little square boxes in the corner of the room? No? You want flat screens? It's no different. It's no different. It doesn't matter. It's just television. You see, and now we're seeing these different devices happening, changing, different screens, whatever. And to me, the opportunity here isn't just about the distribution, it's the targeting, the addressability. The idea of seeing somebody, the fact that you're in a room and you're watching TV, and you're watching that TV content and you're watching the football on the main screen. Or maybe your wife is upstairs and she's watching something else. Or your kids are downstairs and they're watching something else. And when the ad breaks come on, everyone has a completely different experience. You see, I can jump beyond the idea of household advertising to actual device. This is the power of digital with TV. And so the things that we've been trying to crack for years, technology is providing a solution for. And so I think the idea, we're talking now, it's about targeting individuals. But now we've got this quad play, and quad play is now very quickly moving into music, and then we're seeing these other things where it's happening, gaming, and then we're starting to see all sorts of now, home of control, or health, or very soon, your car. It'll become through one content provider as they expand their range of services, as they have been for a number of years. But the problem I have right now is all they're giving me is a unified bill, not a unified experience. Sky, okay, UK, fair enough. Sky Q, all over the papers and the things over the last couple of months in the UK. Fluid viewing. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? Here's the reality of it. They call it premium TV. You have to pay for an install, pay to have an extra room, pay whatever else, pay for the content, pay for... Guys, here's a cue for you. Why should we pay extra just to be able to watch TV where I want to watch it? And it's the same here in the States. Installation of a box. You can watch your blockbuster equivalent of a latest release at home. And then pay $50 just to be able to have it for 48 hours to rent. Or maybe you want to sit there and the amount of money that we spend a year renting these stupid boxes. And yet the cable companies are the ones who are the worst in terms of providing the services. Which is why we see things like the mobile phone companies saying, well, do you know what? Join to us and we'll give you your TV. It's challenging everybody. And so now we're in a situation when we look at the Apple TV, you know, the fact that I can now talk and search for content. I can sit there and download it, have multiple apps. The fact that I can have the games, the fact that I can have these experiences. A new device needs to happen. But I also want to see who my friends are online and what they're watching. I want to know what they're recommending. They're in live in my TV show. Maybe I want to sit there and do a search the way I search the web, where I'm saying, who said this? And rather than just finding me a page, it goes straight to that video segment and says play. And says, oh, sorry, you don't own this yet. Would you like to rent it? And so the idea of searchable video, navigatable video, is just the next stage as we start reading and scanning the subtitles, being able to drop in video segments and drop those things through. And so I think there's a new opportunities for television in terms of we sort of look through this whole idea of this 3D. This 2020. But right now, TV is too expensive for most people. I mean, how many times have I seen on Facebook someone says, anyone know how I can watch Game of Thrones in my bedroom? Anyone know how I can watch House of Cards on my mobile? People haven't got a clue. It's kind of almost this thing, it's just too complicated with all these channels. You know, then TV was easy. You sat there, you gave a remote control, you changed the channel. I gave you a computer, my dad was on the phone, and I'm like, Dad, it's the red button on the front. Now, you give a kid an iPad and they know what's going on. Now the PCs are easy. TV, I mean, you know, kids are all the rest of it. TV, I feel like I have to work at the AV department just to be able to navigate my TV. I want to sit there and I want to be able to watch, well, which device? Is it Chromecast or is it an Apple TV? I mean, Amazon, well, do I need the cable box or whatever? And how does it work upstairs or downstairs? And how do I get... This is what my dad's like now. Hence why I'm saying, too complicated, too expensive. We have to do something about it. Fortunately, the wisdom of our elders is saying it will. Does it really matter what device or what box? You're giving it to me anyway. If they want to use an Apple TV or a Google Chromecast, let them watch it. And then suddenly being able to play the gameplay whilst looking at those TV channels, whilst talking to my friends on Facebook, is going to become a reality. And so suddenly we're seeing this massive opportunities and excitement where I can get whatever content I want to watch, how I want to watch it, at a fraction of the cost. And it's giving the consumers confidence. It's the magic bullet that we're crying out for. But it has to be dealt with open minds to new technology. It has to be sort of new partnerships. We have to consider new distribution methods, new business ideas. Either before it comes the next Walking Dead, the bargain basement that people are like, yeah, watched it, moved on. When we start to overlay television with different technologies and really understand consumer journey, I'm going to end up on this sort of stuff, the ability to then retarget them, to retarget them on TV with the data. And where are they going to purchase? You see, when you take a holistic view, and I don't get out my isolated online or my isolated television bubble, and you look at the holistic picture, it becomes super exciting what happens when we put these things together. We see this idea of screen stacking and all these ways of two-way communications. It doesn't matter whether you're using Bluetooth or near-field communication or audio, or all these technologies are all there in the background. What I'm more interested in is the creative opportunities that it presents. Interactive TV, okay. America's Got Talent, wonderful. But what does that look like from beyond the game shows? What does it look like for your soap operas, where you can control the storylines? What does it look like from an advertising perspective?
What an experience, even for a former driver.
You're watching the content, the ad break comes on, and you see this little Shazam. Now, usually you just want to say, go to look at the website. Guys, we work in branding. We work in creative content, creative storytelling. So let's tell the story. Let them have their gameplay. So now what's actually happening, if you think about it in the advertiser's mind, is they've paid for one TV spot. But the people who've chosen to download the content are now so transfixed on that, they're ignoring the rest of the other advertising. And they're having a much deeper emotive connection with the brand or the content as a result of playing around with that. And so you're able to hold their attention for quite a period of time in terms of it goes off, in terms of there. Now, the greatest thing about this is you've got all this content for a fraction of the price of media. But because I know it's a time limit, I know it's, 2.5 minutes, whatever it is, it means that suddenly there, I then buy that last 3-second bumper slot, and I combine the experience. If you didn't do the app, you'd never have known the difference. But you can totally change television advertising and having a deeper creative experience. Maybe you're watching the Sky Sports, or whatever, or you're watching the TV. Now, we have these adverts in the UK. I have seen them, but I couldn't find one in America, where you're sitting there and watching this sort of TV stuff.
If I was you, I'd go for cards and corners. What's the latest live odds? There you go. Bet365 is over 60.
Now, the video is shot months in advance, but this is dynamic creative here. They're able to sit there with that content and drop it in, what's called live to location. They're using the graphics engine of the television. They're making the content switch, and they're able to send it to different regions at the same time. One advert, totally personalized through the TV networks. Fantastic. Live as of 30 seconds ago. Well, if I can change content on the fly on TV, let me change it. That advert in the corner, I want to change. I want to now link that to an app. I want the app to be linked to, yes, I want to be able to play along and have my viewing and my say about something. I want to talk to my friends on social media at the same time. And I want to see what they're talking about on my television set. You see, I want to be able to sit there and when it comes in and say, well, what did you agree? Let the voting and the dynamic creative happening. And at the same time, at the end, when the advert comes back on, I want something a little bit deeper where I want to see who and what's coming on. Now, the technology's there. It's just about connecting the dots. And so now you're sitting there watching it. When we start to look at TV and online together, you see this beautiful picture together where we're actually watching the stuff and we're having a conversation around something. You can see who your friends are. Did you agree with them? Yes or no? Do your betting. You're able to play along with it, and it opens up new experiences. Yet now, suddenly now, when it goes into the ad break,
All right, boys. Oi. All right, Ray. Looking for a bit of in-play action, are we? Next goal scorer, full-time result.
Actually, could you give us the latest?
There we go. Think what it could do for the gambling industry, for so many different brands to be able to buy stuff. And so I'm going to leave you with one more example. Cheerios. 88% of people are now finding out prices about products when you're in a shop. We have that information, we have that data. We have loyalty cards. Add it to the shopping basket, add it to your loyalty card. You're walking around later on, we've got beacons around the stores now, Shopkick, whatever else. You're walking around, you go, oh, lovely handbag, add that to my wish list. You're turning around and saying, oh, look, special offer of the shampoo, add that to my shopping basket, add that to my... As you're moving around, we're collecting data about you, your values, your interests and stuff. Now you suddenly, that information is now transmitted out. The TV companies are picking it up. And so I'm at home watching my TV. The new films just come on, watching one of my old ones on Netflix. And you're sitting there and you're watching the TV show. Man, don't the ads always come on at the wrong time? And yet you're sitting there and the adverts are now coming on. But this time I've now got my other device that's now listening in. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and it knows what I've been interested in, and now it starts targeting me with new offers, new opportunities, new ways to interact. And we're going to start taking stuff and buying. And this is how we start to close the loop. When the advertisers will turn around and say, did they see my ad? They're going to be saying, well, did they buy? Or did they click, like we've had with online? Did they see and did they buy? And I think this is a hugely exciting opportunity because already people are doing it via mobile. We know that technology is changing. Over to you to think about what the creative opportunities are for that next. Thank you.